The COP27 conference continues today, where world leaders and heads of state are gathering with the goal of reducing climate warming emissions around the world. Joining us this afternoon for an in-depth look and insight on the conference is Rachel Frazen with The Hill. Rachel, thanks so much for your time. It's still early in the conference. What conversations are we expecting there to be most impactful this year?
Sure thing. Thanks for having me. There's a lot of things going on in the world, both in climate change and generally. The first is just kind of the general energy situation brought on largely by Russia's war in Ukraine. So I think in general, one of the questions people are having is how do we balance, combating climate change in the long term with, ensuring our short-term energy supply needs. In the longer term, people will propose solutions that have to do with advancing renewable energy, but in the shorter term, some countries might be restarting coal plants or relying on other more intensive fuels like other carbon intensive fuels that contribute to climate change like natural gas or oil. So that's one big area of conversation. Another is something called loss and damage. A lot of developing nations feel that countries like the United States, like China, and other, more developed countries have used more than their fair share of the world's fossil fuels and have contributed to global warming, and that some of these other countries, especially island nations, are suffering from the worst impacts of climate change. So they would like some compensation for some of the, loss and damage that they have suffered. So I think those are some of the biggest ones. A couple of other things I have my eye on is the US-China relationship. China stopped its collaboration with the US after Speaker Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan. It's too soon to be seen whether or to what extent, talks will start up between those two countries. So I think those are probably some of the big ones.
So you talked briefly about the climate reparations, as some call it. U.S., China, big countries are responsible for climate change in the large part, but it's these developing countries who are underfunded. They lack the funds to deal with the repercussions. What do you think the difference is? First it was only one country hopping in at the last conference. Now many more are pouring millions into this fund. What do you think is changing about the worldwide sentiment here?
That's a great question because, this is something that a lot of developing nations have been clamoring for a really long time. At last year's COP, at COP26 in Glasgow, countries agreed to start a dialogue on the issue. And so I think maybe just hearing from their counterparts in these developing countries more has been something that has moved the needle. I also think that the flooding in Pakistan this year that was so devastating may have also, shed light on these issues.
So we hear about many big companies all across the world that have some sort of promise to eventually reach net zero emissions. But a new study shows that only a few of them actually have the concrete plans in place to reach those goals. Tell us more about the accusations of what some people are calling greenwashing by these companies.
Sure thing. A lot of companies come out and they make promises and they say, we are going to get to net zero emissions. And just to be clear, net zero is when what a country is contributing to climate change, their emissions are equal to, some of the, if you add that to the things they're doing to pull climate change out of the air, like planting trees, when those two things equal zero, you've reached net zero. A lot of companies say they're going to do that, but climate activists, while they're glad that companies are making some kind of effort, they worry that some of it is just a PR stunt. There's lots of ways in which a net zero pledge might sort of skirt the issues. Some of these, offsets that they're doing, might not be very credible. They might be buying like a carbon credit that isn't fully accounted for. They also might be, claiming that they're going to change their operations, but they might be lobbying against climate action in the US Congress or in governments around the world. So that I think makes people skeptical. Another thing they might be doing is they might only be counting, their direct emissions, which is, a good measure of emissions from some companies, but activists would argue that other companies, the emissions that happen from their products are also something that should be counted. They give the example of an automaker, if somebody makes electric cars or if somebody else makes cars that are powered by gasoline, their operational emissions might be about the same, but obviously one has created a product with a much bigger climate change impact.
And Rachel, you mentioned the war in Ukraine. It's had far-reaching impacts in ways that some may not have even predicted, including affecting global energy markets. So as Europe prepares for the colder winter months, the war is actually affecting our fight against climate change. Tell us how they've kind of had to pivot their energy sources that really don't benefit our fight against climate change.
Yeah, the response has been complex, and I don't want to say that, it's all been bad for climate change. I would say that it's mixed. Some countries like Germany have had to restart, formerly out of commission coal plants. The US is exporting more natural gas to Europe and has become, I think, just a major natural gas exporter. So, it is in those cases increasing reliance on fossil fuels. Some countries, I think, like the US, President Biden has called on oil producers to drill more. So there is kind of a pressure to just sort of increase the energy that we have now. But at the same time, and on the other hand, you have you also have more investments in clean energy technologies. And I think Europe is also looking to accelerate its shift away from Russian fuels. And that includes in part, a shift towards renewable or other carbon-free energy sources.